If you're coming to Japan for the first time, here's the most generic trip you can take, otherwise known as the Golden Trip. Let's get started! Shinjuku! So if you get to Shinjuku, you can go to a place called Kabukicho. And Kabukicho has all the lights you see in the picture, the Godzilla head, and also a lot of scams. You gotta be careful of the scams. There'll be a bunch of people who will come up to you and ask you to come to their bar or tell you that places are full. Just be diligent and don't get scammed. Shibuya. Shibuya is the place with the scramble. You're gonna go across the street with everybody, take your pictures with the Insta360s, and there's also the Hachiko statue there. You can go ahead and take a picture with the dog. Make sure you line up in line. Well, and don't climb the dog. Parko, which has the Nintendo store and the Pokemon store. The Mega Donkey. Donkey. Shop for everything you need, tax-free. They also have the cheese coin there. That's where the cheese coin comes from. The next place is obviously Akiba or Akihabara, and that's where all the anime stuff is. Like, you go to the maid cafe, it's kind of cringe, but you know, if that's your thing, you gotta experience it once, and all the anime goods that you want, as well as computer parts. Then of course is Asakusa. So Asakusa is one of the oldest temples in Japan, and it is the place where you see the big red temple and a lot of people and kimonos and all that fun stuff. It's like a little piece of traditional Japan within the center of Tokyo. Don't be an arsehole and hang on the trees and hang on the shrines and stuff like that. Respect the rules and all that stuff. And also don't take pictures inside the actual temple itself. That's actually rude. So just be aware of that. Have a good time, have some traditional snacks. And at nighttime, you also have some drinking areas that you can go to and have fun as well. And there are also a little bit some hot springs there as well. Asakusa is great if you're gonna do one stop to a temple, but there are of course other shrines and temples across Tokyo, but this is the Golden Trip, so. Next in your generic trip is taking the bullet train from Tokyo Station all the way to Osaka. So we're gonna go to Osaka, and that's the food capital, apparently, of Japan. I personally think it's Tokyo, but people say it's Osaka. And in Osaka, you're gonna do a couple of things. You're gonna go to the big Glico sign on Dotonbori. So you're gonna take your picture with the Glico, you're gonna do the little pose, and you're gonna have a fun time walking around the streets of Dotonbori while eating some takoyaki, which is what they're famous for. It's octopus balls. Super great. I personally recommend this one, which is right at the beginning of it, I suppose, in the corner. They have little tempura bits, and it's one of my favorite ones to get, even though a lot of people think it's overrated. But honestly, in the world of overratedness, I appreciate that one. That one's actually my favorite. You can also get okonomiyaki. There's no particular spot I recommend for okonomiyaki. It's basically just a pancake, savory pancake with like different kinds of ingredients. It's good for vegetarians because you can choose what you want and don't want. And yeah, I don't really have a place to recommend it. You can get it basically anywhere in Osaka. So, and then the next place would be probably Shinsekai. It's kind of like a retro area of Osaka. They actually built it, I think, for the Olympics or something like that. It's kind of like this new world retro area because they've just kind of kept that aesthetic. It's pretty cool. Don't really need to go there if you don't really want to. If you have time, you could also go to Universal Studios Japan. So they have the Harry Potter world, they got Super Nintendo Land, they got a whole bunch of stuff, but that isn't super necessary as that does take up basically a whole day of your time. So depending, if you have time on your Golden Trip, go to USJ. Next is going to be Kyoto. Now I recommend for Kyoto about at least 1 or 2 days because Kyoto is honestly so much to do. There's so much to do there. There's also a lot of tourists and there's also a lot going on. So I'd recommend that you kind of take your time a little bit when you go here, but here are some places that you can go. First is Kiyomizu-dera. It's like the big temple on the top of this big street. Everybody goes there. I personally don't think it's that cool, but if you want to get your photo, especially now in the fall, you get this really nice photo with all the autumn leaves. But it is a must visit, and depending on the time of this recording, when you watched it, they might have the area open where you pay a little bit extra to go to the Love Rock, and that's where you can like walk to the rock while blindfolded to find your true love. That's a fun thing you can do. Also, on your way down from Kiyomizu-dera, there's like a little street with all that generic stuff you've seen with traditional Starbucks, that photo you always see in every photo of Kyoto, but beware that it's very crowded. Next is Fushimi Inari Shrine, which is basically a mountain with a bunch of torii gates. Don't climb the torii gates, they are not gym equipment. But yeah, if you're trying to get that generic photo with all the torii gates and you're like lined up on it, here's some tips to actually get that. Go past the halfway point where all the tourist groups stop, and you'll actually be able to get those photos because people don't have the willpower or the tour groups don't allow it. If you try to go early in the morning, trust me, everybody gives that advice. So it doesn't matter what time you're gonna go. It's gonna be crowded either way, unless you're going at the crack of dawn. But after that would be Arashiyama, which is the bamboo forest with all the bamboo. Same idea. You know, you can get your photo, your generic photo, but it's gonna be full of people, a lot of tourists. So I think you're gonna have to either go at the crack of dawn, or you're gonna have to find another spot with a different aesthetic, or you're just gonna have to deal with it and use AI or something to get rid of the people in your photos. Kinkakuji, which is the golden temple, which is like on a pond, and it looks really nice. It's really cool. Not bad for tourists, depending on the time you go. I kind of recommend going at like 3 or 4 when you get that nice western sunlight where it's like hard contrast. It looks really nice, or early in the morning. But yeah, there's nothing else other than that. It's just really nice. Just be wary of the crowdedness. And then you can go to Gion. So Gion is kind of like the entertainment district where all the geishas are and all the high-end restaurants are. Yeah, this area is kind of a little bit regulated now. You can't really take photos that much. Don't go into the private alleyways on the sides of the road. And don't be that tourist who's just forcibly taking photos of the geisha. It's not happening. You will get in trouble, and you might even get a fine if you do that. So this one is a little bit optional. I don't think you really need to go here, but if you had to cut one of them, it might be this one, because you don't really even see the geisha anyway. But it's nice and cool. It's aesthetic. That's the only thing I'd say about Kyoto. It's like super crowded. You got to get on buses to go anywhere. You can't take the trains, but most people take the bus, just the way it's built. And yeah, it's a pretty tough one. Next would be NARA. So there's 2 things to do with NARA. Is 1, go to see the deer, give them the senbei, watch them bow. It'll be a fun time. And yeah, just don't harass the deer, but they'll probably harass you because they're animals. So that's just one thing to worry about. The other one would be the big Buddha, very big Buddha. You can pay about 500 yen or something like that to get in there, look at the big Buddha, take a picture in front of the big shrine. Yeah, man, that's basically it, other than seeing the mochi guys. So the mochi guys doing the mochi thing, they're pounding it, and you can get fresh grass mochi kind of near the station, but they only do the demonstration at certain times of the day, so it's a little bit hard to see, and it's also going to be super crowded. So if you want to take a video of that, you can make sure you have a good zoom lens to kind of do that, or get there a little bit early before the demonstration is. The actual mochi itself is pretty cheap, and it's actually quite good in it. It's quite good. I actually quite enjoyed it. So, and then you just head back to Tokyo, and you'll kind of finish up any other things you wanted to do. If you have an extra day, you can go to Tokyo Disneyland or Disney Sea. I kind of made, I'm going to make another video talking about that in general, but honestly, that's basically it. Plus or minus a few things there. Now, if you only had a week in Japan, I would say 2 days in Tokyo, 1 day in Osaka, 2 days in Kyoto, 1 day in Nara, and then 1 last day in Tokyo. And that will kind of give you a pretty basic itinerary of what to do. I recommend actually taking 2 weeks so you could actually take more time to do things. Honestly, dude, there's so much to do in Japan. That's just why you're seeing a lot of people come back. But yeah, that would be the trip I would recommend to basically anybody coming for the first time. My relatives are always asking me what I should do, what do I do, where do I go, blah, blah, blah. I'm planning on making more videos talking about all these different places and little sub areas in Tokyo and Kyoto and all that different kind of stuff. But I'm super high on caffeine right now. I can barely talk, but I wanted to really make this video for you guys. If you like this content, like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, thanks so much for watching. This has been Mayday-san, and kahoi! White guy uses fluent Japanese. He surprises locals. Good morning. Good morning. What's up?